if you ever need some help, just reach out to us and give us a call. We'll see what we can do. We'll even take and put a call out there to the people in the community and find out if we can help. Please remember, at Community Pay It Forward, 80% of any purchase made through one of our wonderful partners is going to go to a mission of your choice. What are these missions? These are people who have asked us for help. They say, "Hey, look, this happened to us," or nonprofits from around the world. I was like going, "Whoa, wait, slow down on the world." No, but we do have schools in Africa, so yes, around the world. And so all you have to do is simply shop with our wonderful, wonderful family partners. You're going to meet two of them tonight. And all you have to do is shop with them, hire them. They do the work. They bill you at the end. One of or both of these guys, let's put it this way, both of these guys could be really, really good for you, because it's not you who actually pays the bill a lot of times. It's your insurance company who pays the bill. Just saying, you get to support people by sticking it to the insurance man. Okay, so you're not going to stick it to them. It's not like they're going to go broke or anything, but it is what it is. But still, you get to support some wonderful people out there who need a lot of help simply by getting stuff done. If you own a home, you're going to want to make sure that your home is well taken care of. Both of these individuals, Mr. Steve Solis, who's my first guest tonight, and Mr. Mike Martinez. Steve works with roofing, and Mike Martinez works with mold. And I don't know if you know anything about mold, but it's not a lot of fun to mess around with. So it can really cause a lot of problems. And when you're sitting there sleeping at night and all of a sudden your face gets all wet from a drip of snow, that's not a lot of fun either. So you can always reach me by going to my For My card. For My card is very, very simple. It is a business card on your phone. You share it with the QR code, or you just give people the link. You text them this link right here, and when you text them this link, they go to it, and it's a customizable business card that does so much more than a business card. I don't know how many times I've tried in the last week to pick up one of my old business cards, these things, and I hit the website. It doesn't go to the website. Okay. You go to my For My card, you take and you hit the website. It goes directly to communitypayitforward.us. It goes straight to my email address. Matter of fact, it has a place on there that says call Zach, text Zach, and it comes straight to me. You're also able to find out more information about things like Community Mission to Rescue 22. February 22nd is coming up. It's coming up real close. I know that because it's like right after Christmas, and a week ago, Christmas was a little ways off. It's not a little ways off anymore. It's right here. So that means Community Mission to Rescue 22 is also coming up. This is very, very important to us, because this right here, this job form is how you can get involved. You can be one of these wonderful partners of ours, and you can be right here with us and stand with us and tell our veterans, tell our heroes all over the United States that we care and we don't want to lose you. We are losing 47 heroes on average every day. JR from the Veterans Ranch in Florida put out a post the other day telling us how we had lost 44 in one 24-hour period. This is the numbers aren't going the right way. They're just not. There's no easier way to say it. The numbers are going the wrong way, and we need to make sure that we really work on this, folks. Right now, if things don't change, by the time I'm sitting here this time next year, we will have lost over 17,000 individuals who raised their right hand and gave that oath to our country. Over 17,000 heroes will have taken their own lives. That doesn't need to be. You can help us open the conversation, start this conversation. We can put together a list of people who are out there who can really make a change in people's lives. So please join us, no matter if it's a story, if you want to make your business on that day, if you want to join our wonderful partners like Steve, like Mike, you can join us for that one day and find out what Community Pay It Forward's all about. Make that one day, make your sales on that day go to great causes like right here in Northern Colorado, somebody else you're going to see tonight, Healing Warriors, or Veterans Honoring Veterans, or the Veterans Ranch in Florida, or Project Die Hard in Kentucky. I always want to say Tennessee, but it's not Tennessee, it's Kentucky. Or we've got your six in Dallas. Look, they're all over the country. We're here to support them because they're there to support the ones who supported us. Very rare do I get a chance to talk to somebody who is as close to me as Steve is. This guy is one of my great friends. We got to meet pre-pandemic. There was a life pre-pandemic. I know it's kind of hard to remember. It's been a while, but Steve's been a great friend of mine. Hell, the guy showed up at my wedding. So, and he only had like an hour and a half notice, something like that, because I'm so prepared on everything. We know this. So, but, I gave him all the time in the world to get here and said, where are you when you were late? Nah, I didn't. But the thing is that he's a great guy. He's a great friend. He's done a lot for this company. He's done a lot for people out there. And I think the greatest thing I can say about Steve is he doesn't stop trying. Okay. If he's not going to, he's not going to climb up on your roof, take a look and say, well, you know what? I can get this job if I just kick this one shingle off. It's not like that with him. Steve has integrity. Steve stands behind his work and he stands behind his crews. And he is one hell of a balloon artist. Okay. I mean, this guy, he can do some things with balloons that, sculptors can't do with stone. So, I mean, he is very, very talented and a great friend of mine. And I am very, very happy to welcome in Mr. Steve Solis. How you doing, brother?
Great. I'm doing good. Thank you for that. That's quite humbling.
Yeah. Every word meant. Every word meant. You've been a dear friend for. I cannot believe that we have to go through that. We had the whole AD, BC things, and now we're post pandemic, pre-pandemic. So now we've got a new way of telling time. So, but you and I have done quite a bit of stuff together. Steve, how long have you been roofing?
Oh man. More than 40 years. I actually originally was taught by my father back in the late 60s, and we mostly did framing for years. And then I came back to it full time in 1983 and been with it ever since.
One of the reasons why I really wanted to reach out to you is because we have had hellacious winds and the threat of snow here in the Greeley area. We haven't got hit other than a small dusting yesterday, but we haven't got hit with that. Geez, I think my dog just dropped a dinosaur or something. But dropped part of the house or something. I don't know what happened there. But anyway, there's we know right now in the United States there's just some terrible storms going through, and I thought this was a perfect time to talk to you. Heavy high winds are very, very damaging to roofs, are they not?
Yeah, well, there's several things to be considered with it. Actually, it hasn't been an incredible amount of years before the International Residential Code required a certain wind rating for products that were out there. And what was considered standard back at that time was no longer allowed because the manufacturers, they had testing and they had information from underwriters' laboratories that their product would do a certain amount, but it wasn't even listed on the packages yet. So the building departments in order to make sure that people were getting products that were going to be based upon the USGS standard for wind ratings, uh, and these products had to pass that. At first, it was just a standard amount of wind, let's say 80 miles an hour, that might have been appropriate. But then they started wanting to meet a 3 second gust, they called it. So you could have 100 miles an hour, 3 second gust, and that allowed standard 3 tab shingles to be installed. And then it changed to sustained wind. And so you have a higher rating even now, anywhere from 100, 120, 130 miles an hour, which these products, once they are sealed, should be able to handle that situation. Well, so what wind damage is, it's not so much that the wind is taking the corner of a house where the shingles are and rolls it off. It's passing over the roof like the wing of an airplane and is trying to lift it off. So if the fastening of the shingles wasn't done real well, in other words, the nails were a little cockeyed, that it tears into the shingle. And so after so much time of trying to lift it off of there with these high winds, that after several years, maybe 5 years, the shingles start pulling up and over off of the roof, and it takes a number of shingles with it. And that usually happens more prominently on the upper third of a roof. So it kind of depends. So product type, wind rating type, installation practices, uh, all have to be done appropriately. So it is important who puts on your roof. It is important to know that the people that are your salesperson, the production manager in our company happens to be the owner of the company, whoever oversees the work, and the roofers themselves. How long have they been doing this? And it's really not a length of time per se, because I've had people that you see my cat. Look at him.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
that, yeah, that this one guy claimed to have had a license in the city of Denver, which back in that time was the standard for the metro area. He claimed he had a license in Denver for 16 years, but I'm telling you what, I wouldn't have this guy put the shingles on my doghouse. I mean, it was really bad. So wind is an issue, but if things are done right at the beginning, got a quality material, quality installation, it can still happen, but it's got to be pretty high winds, once the shingles seal. Now, one of the great things, amongst many things that we have in Colorado, is that we have a mild climate. So even though we'll have very cold days and very high heat in the summertime, cat investigating the other cat. Um, then, but for the most part, compared to other parts of the country and the world, we don't really have it that bad. So you have to choose the right day. Manufacturer says we need to have 45 degrees of rising temperatures in order to put on these products. And in Colorado, 45 is actually the ambient average for the month of January. So you can do this all year round, but you do have to wait till the conditions are more conducive to the shingle sealing as quickly as possible. But we don't hesitate if we have those kind of temperatures, because we're very rare in our industry in the state of Colorado to have a 10-year labor warranty that's in-house. It's our warranty, not something you buy from the manufacturer in order to get a longer term as far as that's concerned. But wind is an issue, obviously, but also time of year. When you have products that, because of these winds, and they don't even have to be high winds, a lot of new construction is done on the outlying areas around the town. And I'm saying outlying cities like Aurora, up in Adams County, Douglas County, all that sort of thing. that the product is installed when we're getting these constant winds, and really fine dust gets blown up between the layers, and the shingles never do completely seal down. So it does make a difference when, does make a difference how well that everybody is aware of these things. And does the contractor actually back their work? So if you did have a shingle or two that came off, are they going to come back and install that, or replace that shingle, uh, and and everything be back to normal again? So lot to that.
Well, when we have a situation like what we've got right now, where there's like ice particles in the air that are blowing up underneath those shingles, is that something that maybe as soon as it starts to die down a little bit, as soon as it starts to warm up, is this maybe something that people should really start looking at? Because maybe that water's been getting underneath those. Say you haven't had your roof, or you've had your roof for a little while. Is this when people should really start kind of worrying about it?
I wouldn't say worried about it. You just have to be aware. It's probably more accurate to say. Uh, Basically, the ice particles, usually from the edge of the roof, let's say 3 feet back, 5 feet back, and going up to the ridge, generally that's not a problem there. It can happen, but it's not as big a deal. Where the sealant is on the shingles when it overlaps these days is much better than what it used to be back when I started roofing, and that was a long time ago. But it's really the edge of the roof for the first couple of feet. Let's say your soffit area is 2 feet. In areas that require what they call an ice and water shield membrane, it goes from zero, basically at the gutter, up the roof 2 feet inside of the inner wall. So, say for instance, your front door, you go another, let's say 6 inches for the framing, etc., and then another 2 feet. That ice and water shield has to be installed. And the idea there is if you have some moisture and it comes down to the edge of the roof, because of the soffit area, wind that comes up to that area, it basically freezes right there, and the snow and ice stay there for a lot longer than you would like it to, and it's possible for that moisture to back up underneath the shingles, hence coming inside the house. So it is a concern, but based upon the USGS as to what areas fit into the freeze area that we were just talking about, it all depends on, and it's already set in the code. Every building department along the Front Range has it set in their code, whether they require that or not. And you just need to know. But any qualified contractor, presuming they're qualified because they get a permit for the work that they do, and so they based upon freeze thaw calculations, whether it's required, how it's installed, and I was on the education committee for the Colorado Roofing Association back in the early 2000s, and that was one of the discussions. Is that, first of all, are you in that climate that requires this product, and what is your interpretation of what is recommended by the manufacturer, so that anybody can have this information and install a roof appropriately. But ice crystals themselves generally are not the problem. It's the major thing. I've seen where you get blue ice on the edge of the roof and it's 8 inches thick, from the gutter up vertically, and it's blue ice. It's really weird, but it happens. But I wouldn't call. I guess there was a couple of years we had some really serious uh, ice damming, and it happens on and off, but overall you have conditions. So in other words, it doesn't get above 10 degrees for, let's say, 2 weeks or something like that.
How often should you have somebody climb up on top of your roof and take a look?
Well, it's kind of like it's a bit of a guesswork. If you have a competent contractor. In other words, you had somebody that you hired at the beginning of the roof replacement, and they were well qualified, did a great job, passed inspection. It's likely that you don't need to have them back out. What's the length of their warranty? What if it's only 5 years? I probably would tend to say sometime before that 5 years is up, maybe at 4 years, maybe at 3 years, to get up there and just double check it. The warranty only covers, it's a limited warranty, so there are some parameters on how this should be done, and you're not allowed really to make any changes. Say, for instance, you want to put a swamp cooler on your roof, and you neglect to tell your contractor that put on that roof, and somebody else came in, cut a hole, put the swamp cooler up there, and then it leaks. Whose fault is it? It doesn't fall underneath our warranty anymore because somebody altered the roof that we put on. So the homeowner has to go back to the swamp cooler installer. And that has happened to us. People said, hey, your roof is leaking. Well, no, it wasn't our fault. What occurred, it was you had somebody else come in and they altered the thing. But I would say, let's say you have that same good group come in. They did a good job. Everything went well. You have them come in, let's say at 4 years, take a look. Does everything look okay to you? Is there anything we should be concerned about? Because we only have one more year left on your warranty, and I need to make sure that we move forward well. The second thing involved with that is if something happens in your life that things change and you're now going to sell that place, you're going to, or use it as an investment property, you want to make sure that what's there is in good shape. So, depending on how well the job is done or not, might mean that you need to have it checked out quicker or sooner. Say, for instance, that after the first rainstorm, it did leak on the swamp cooler, and it was already there, the swamp cooler. And because there was a problem, you probably want to call them back in a little bit sooner, maybe after a couple of years, and have them double check everything to make sure it's in good shape. And then as time goes along, you could probably lengthen that time, to 3, 5, 8 years, whatever, before you have it looked at again. But definitely before you're planning on actually letting go or renting that particular property, because people are notorious for not taking care of their investment property, oddly enough.
Out of sight, out of mind. That's something that you see it when you're driving up, but you don't really think
No
about
doubt.
it, and it's kind of like we all complain about having insurance
Yeah.
until we need to have insurance. So let's go on ahead and real quickly move on to your other passion, which is your balloon art. You are one of the most talented people when it comes to twisting a balloon that looks like a deflated hot dog and turning it into some wonderful, wonderful art. Um, and
One of our
you
ladies from
tell,
our referral group called me the most unique person in the group, and I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not. But anyway, I think she meant it positive.
yeah, it might have been after I was gone then. So, but you can see a lot of his work right on his personal Facebook page. So if you want to look him up, you can see some of him. He practices all the time. He shows you examples of what he's working on. You're almost like, and I truly do mean this as a compliment. You're almost like an athlete. You put more time into this craft, because you do take this serious. You want to go out, you want to have a good time, you want to put out some quality product, and you want people to have fun doing it. You don't want just the kids to walk away going, "Wow, look!" You want mom and dad to do that too,
Right.
and I've
Right.
seen it.
Right.
Mom and dad have usually come back and said, "Hey, what can you make me?" So,
Well, that is a fact. I did a birthday party for the 50 and over crowd, so everybody turns into a kid. So there's no doubt about that. And roofing, because I've been in it so long, I really don't study much on that. I mean, I try to be up to date on products and materials and installation and all of that. But every night I practice several things, but one of them is balloon art, and I do that 1 to 3 hours every day. I've been doing it for 19 plus years now, and I'm working on stuff all the time. Now, every once in a while, I will post something that wasn't my original. I I have friends all over the world that are masters at this. I mean, they make my stuff look like it's simple. I mean, just amazing things. And so I think I understand enough about the methods and techniques that people use. And if there's something that's there that I haven't tried, I'll go ahead and do that just to have it part of my repertoire. I don't even know how many things I do. I'm guessing over 200 variations, um, but I don't use them all when, let's say, I'm at a restaurant because I don't have time to do things that are longer than 2 or 3 minutes. So uh, you've seen my unicorn hat, and that takes 8 minutes, 7 balloons, and 2 LED lights I put into the eyeballs, and it's very popular. You know, I should have meant put
Which
one
is
together
just,
for you.
I mean, it's just honestly one of the cutest damn things you'll ever see. Seeing these little kids running around with these little lights that are bobbling on the side of their head, know, and it's just it's a real quick, it please tell us, and I love this story. Please tell us the story about when you went down and the little old ladies down in when you went on a mission.
Oh man. Well, I knew a lady here in Denver. She's still doing this. She's about my age, and so she's been twisting balloons for I don't know, 50 years, something like that. Anyway, she's super good and one of the most wonderful people I've ever met. And we had a booth at the roofing company at the Garden and Home Show, and I was walking through, and she was hired by a window installer to twist balloons and draw a crowd. And I was really amazed at not only what she did, but how many people, how many young kids were in line to get a balloon, and and of course the parents were there to look at the products. And she had like 20 kids waiting in line. It was phenomenal. So I said to her after watching for a while, I said, I've got to learn how to do this. And she says, well, I give lessons, but it's got to be in groups of 15 or 20. Well, where was I going to find 15 or 20 people that wanted to do this? And so I kept the idea in my back pocket. And then I went ahead and my church was going to send a group to Uruguay to replace the roof. Look at there. And uh, they wanted somebody to do origami because we were going to make hats for the kids and balloon animals. And I said, hey, I've got a friend that will give us lessons if you don't mind. And but they didn't want to take the time or pay the money. So she sent me down. I called her up, told her my dilemma. I have 2 weeks. What am I going to do? So went down to the place where she gets her supplies, picked up a book, a video, bag of balloons, and a pump, and just started practicing. In 2 weeks, I learned to do 17 characters, so I knew I was on my way. But I was down there, and we were working our tails off every day. We were replacing a portion of a roof. Here's my famous one of my dragons. I make several, and I'd be sitting there with these different churches, and there might be 10 kids, there might be 50 kids. There was no way to know. And so the other people that were supposed to be helping me do this, I didn't tell them that I was taking these lessons and that I had increased our repertoire from 2 to 17. And so they were so embarrassed they quit making them themselves, and I was doing all the balloons. But here I am twisting the balloons for the children, and there was a group of senior women. There were no senior men, and they're sitting there and they're watching me and they're commenting in Spanish. And I'm not fluent, but I know enough to be dangerous, right? So um, I'm
I
I'm
know
sitting
enough to
there and
know
I'm
that I'm
doing.
getting yelled at.
So then this lady, I mean, these ladies were sitting there watching me. And so they were commenting. And after I'd be done with the children, I'd go sit in the middle of these ladies and I'd say in Spanish, "What do you want?" And they would say, "Oh, no, no, no." And I said, I insisted, "I'm going to make you something. What would you like?" And I only knew basic stuff: rabbit, dog, cat, swan, things of that nature. And I was handing it to them, and they would go like this. You could tell that they saw it as I see it, which is a work of art, and it was precious. And so they were so thankful that that's what convinced me I have to do this. So, but for the first 10 years, I was very basic because most balloon twisters only do the basic stuff. But I didn't want that. I wanted to continue a work of art. So when I'm done, the kids are nodding their head, yes, and the parents are going, wow. That's when I know that I've achieved what I was after for. And it's gone pretty well. I post these things all the time, as you know, and people comment on them, and so it's part of my repertoire from that point on. So, like I say, I don't even know how many I do, but I just have a ton of fun. If I'm where it's mostly adults, uh, the women love the flowers and the teddy bears and polar bears, right? And yeah, and that sort of thing. But once the men see that I can do it, and they said, "Hey, I heard you can make a monkey on a tree. I got to see that." So I do it.
Ye- Yep, yep, or a dunce cap. I love that story. So, uh,
Jester hat, buddy.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, jester hat. That's right. So, that was such a good time. That was for Day of the Deployed, 3 years ago, I believe,
Wow.
and yeah, yeah, isn't that weird, right? And yeah, we went in, and there was a guy who came up to us. The gentleman had partaken in a soda or two, and an adult soda or two. So came up to Steve, and he wanted something. He just didn't know what he wanted. Steve goes, "I got the perfect thing for you." Made him a jester's
That's
hat.
right. I forgot
He
about
wore
that.
that thing back up to the bar, and I'm going to tell you something. He was the belle of the ball. I mean, he really was. So it was so fantastic. So,
Yeah,
but
it
so
really has it really has given me an avenue. You may not think so, but I actually was extremely shy growing up, and but I knew I was going to be doing something like this. I just didn't know what. And I have a bit of an art and craft background, but it happens to be right in my wheelhouse because I love to engage people now. And it's a whole lot easier engaging people when it's talking about balloons than it is about roofing, because it's
yeah.
things,
Oh
it might
yeah,
be
yeah. I'd
necessary. It
imagine.
might have had hail damage, but we really don't want to deal with this. So making it easy and easy to make decisions for with people concerning getting their roof back up to par, is obviously a good thing, and I see it that way. And when I was roofing, I saw it as a work of art, but I have to hand it off to other people now because I'm way too stinking old to do that stuff anymore. Don't even want to. But when it comes to balloons, as long as my hands, and I do have carpal tunnel, and I wear braces and compression gloves, to protect myself. But as long as everything holds together, I'll do this until they put me in the box, buddy.
Well, I'm going to tell you something right now. You and I were talking before the show, and I told you I would much rather have your getting older butt up on my roof than my very, very large, bulbous ass up there, because I did not feel very safe. So, and you've been up on our roof, and you know that it's in good shape, but I'll guarantee you, it's not in good enough shape to be under me. Okay, our concrete floors sit there and go, "Oh no, not him again." So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Steve, what is one thing that if somebody is noticing, say somebody's noticing this one thing right now, they should give you a call because you need to get up there and make sure that there's not a problem.
Well, the thing is when is the last time you've had your roof inspected? If it has been longer than a few years, it would be a good idea. There's no cost, but statistically speaking, 1 out of 5 houses has some sort of issue. So I take pictures, yeah, because a lot of homeowners like yourself, they're not going to get up on that 2 story, especially, or if it's a steep roof. That's what I do. I get up there and I look at things, and I look at things with a critical eye, because I don't want them to have a problem. Because if I look at it, I own that roof from that point on. Because if I say everything looks great, and then in the next spring we're getting all kinds of leaking, that doesn't look too well on me. So I try to give it a real critical eye. I make recommendations. I'll make notes of when I was out there. If it's time to consider a new roof, let's say it's been more than 14 years or so, it's a good idea to have things checked out. Things can be brought up to date, maybe some caulking. I use that term loosely. It's actually roofing mastic, or maybe the flashing detail could have been done a little better. It's not uncommon at all to have just that one little leak, and it's a 10-year leak. Drip here, drip there, every time it snows or rains. And then all of a sudden your ceiling's falling in the upstairs bathroom. So it's a good idea just to have it checked out. When was the last time you've had it checked? Or maybe there was a question mark concerning the original installers. Yeah, they did my roof 5 years ago, but it failed inspection. They did come back and correct it, but that's kind of a red flag. So use your own judgment on that. And since it's free, let's get on every roof just to make sure we're not going to have any issues long term. It should be a 20-year situation. Should ever have to go back, sooner than that, unless it's a hail.
And people really should watch out for the fly by night, the circus tent roofers. They're not from the area. They're not. Oh, look, altitude's a thing. The everything that we live with every day, it's stuff that they're generally not used to. So how can you make sure? How can they guarantee that something's going to hold up if they don't know what to expect?
Right. Well, thing is um, as I said, just because they've been roofing a long time, even in the Colorado, doesn't necessarily guarantee anything. So, getting references, maybe, I used to provide with every one of my potential customers a folder with all the information, some brochures, and in there I have uh, uh, the contact information for, let's say, 30 homeowners, not necessarily in your area, but let's say 30 of the last roofs we did. You're welcome to call them, ask whatever questions you want. We don't give them any parameters. I said, homeowners are going to ask you lots of detailed questions. How long did the job take? Were you satisfied with the work? Have you had any problems with the roof? Did they get a permit for, lots of stuff that they can ask and find out what the situation is. And, but it's rare, really rare, for anybody to use that list, to call anybody on that list to ask these questions. And you would think, when we're talking about an average of $10,000, that people would take more care about that. But they rely on the statement of their brother-in-law or something like that. Well, these guys did our roof and they did a great job, so you won't have any problem with them. Well, that's not a good thing. Check with the Better Business Bureau. Check with their supplier. Do they pay their bills? Do they always get a permit for the work that they do? Call the building department. Are you familiar with these guys? Do they do good work? Lots of things you can do to find out and really dig into whether these people are good or not, whether they're local or not. Just because they're local doesn't guarantee that they're that good. Like I said, this guy claimed he had a Denver license for 16 years, but again, really, really bad. So it does make a difference. My advantage is personally is that I roof for many years, and so I've held the product, touched the product, sold the product, managed the product, all of that stuff. So am I an expert? I'm a professional for sure. Because of what I've done over the years. I've written articles for magazines here locally. I've been on TV 3 times to talk about ice damming and other situations on a roof. So Uh, I don't know everything, but I think I know enough to be able to help anybody with their roofing issues and concerns. Sometimes it's just a phone call, and then we can talk about it, because if it looks wrong, it probably is wrong. So a homeowner doesn't have to be an expert, but he said, I never did that before. So let's take a look at it and be sure, so you're comforted when you go to bed at night. You don't have to worry about any of these things.
I ended up calling you once. I ended up calling you at one point in time because somebody was walking through my parents' neighborhood. They looked up on my parents' roof and they knocked on the door and said that they saw a problem. They got up on the roof and they said that there was a problem. I called you because I know you, I trust you, obviously. You crawled up there and you were like, no, no, no. You said that there was a place that it could have been done better, but there was absolutely nothing that needed immediate attention.
Right.
That to me is something that, that first off, you know, you're the guy, you're one of, you're the one I'm going to call because of this right here. You're part of the program. So you're willing to not only put things, your reputation online, you're willing to put your efforts behind helping people at the same time, but you're true about it. You're
Yeah.
not going to lie about it. We all need money, but
Yeah.
you're not going to create a
A
necessity.
situation. Yeah, let me say, because I do a lot of inspections for realtors. How I look at it is, if my mother were buying or selling this property, what would I say? Because I need to be totally honest, because I'm held to a higher standard, having been a formerly on the education committee. But it amazes me. Now, again, I've been roofing for a long time and inspecting thousands of houses, and most of the time from the ground, hail large enough to do damage is only 1 inch in diameter. We often get 2 inch or more, but it only needs 1 inch, depending on the speed and the angle that is coming to the roof. So, that being the case, it doesn't necessarily make really big divots into the roof, but enough to cause damage, because what hail damage is, it actually breaks the fabric of the shingle. So, let's say we were talking about this here, and the upper part is where you see the granules, but on the underside is the fabric of the shingle itself. If you lift that up where a hail mark has been, there's supposed to be a fracture there for it to be counted in their numbers that they count in a 10 by 10-foot area. So, but no, almost nobody actually does that until they're trying to prove that it doesn't have enough damage up there to replace the roof. So, so if that's the case, and you have 1 inch hail in that area from the ground, I can't tell. And I've been doing this for years. You have to actually
Yeah.
get up on the roof to make sure what you have, whether there's enough damage or not. So if you get, let's say, 3 marks in a 10 by 10 area, that does not constitute a roof replacement, and it only constitutes repairs. So whether it can be repaired is another question, but as far as actual damage, so standing on the ground, unless you see missing shingles, most of the time you can't tell if it's hail damage or not. But a thorough inspection after getting up there. So what I do is that I take a picture of the front of the house before I even get up there. I take a picture once I get up to the edge to see how many layers. I stand on top to take pictures vertically, and all of the projections, the vents, pipes, dormers, the flashing details. And then I show the homeowner, because they can see on my camera the first picture I took, because I've only been on their house. There's nothing else in that profile except their pictures, so I can prove to them, without them ever actually getting up on the roof, what is the condition of their roof. So that way they know that I'm being totally straightforward and honest, and make an informed decision.
Well, my brother, time. I cannot believe that we've already spent 50 minutes together. It's amazing. We just don't get to talk near enough. That's for sure. So, but hopefully, we're going to be talking to each other again here in the next couple days or so. But I want to thank you so much for joining us. And please, you can reach out to Steve at 970-646-8108. 970-646-8108. You have questions, you have concerns, you want a balloon, a balloon artist for your party.
Special balloons, buddy. Yeah, special.
Special balloons. That's right.
There you go.
This is the guy to talk to. And every time, remember, every time you hire this gentleman, he gives us a referral. And 80% of that referral goes to somebody in the community who could really use your help. So, Steve, thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you.
Always love talking. Just never get to do it enough. So
yeah, well, you and I both know 50 minutes is nothing.
well, that's right. So
right.
You know, we've eaten pizza together for longer than 50 minutes.
That's it. All right, brother. You have a good evening.
You
Say
too.
hello
Thank
to my
you, sir.
friend Mike Martinez. He's a great guy.
Yeah, I will do that.
All right.
All right. Talk to you later. Steve Solis of Independent Roofing. I will tell you, I mean, really, Independence Roofing, I always get that wrong, but I will tell you, look, the guy's got integrity for miles and miles. You need somebody to talk about him that's not me, just, call me up and I'll have my parents talk to you about him. They've almost got scammed a couple times, and Steve was there to make sure that they were taken care of. He's a great guy. He's not going to lead you wrong. And that's very, very important. And especially in, the garbage that we go through today with stuff like this. So, let's make sure that, if you need to talk to somebody, get a hold of Steve. He can work with you. He can help you out. So Steve, is not the only person that we're going to be that I've got on tonight from the program. I recorded this interview with Mike Martinez a couple weeks ago. A couple days ago, a couple weeks ago. I'm going to be playing that real soon. This interview is going to be brought to you today by a great friend of mine that I finally got off my butt and did what I should have